Imagine standing in Melbourne in the late 1990s. The city was growing, changing, yet nothing prepared people for one idea. An idea so bold, it could have made Melbourne the home of the tallest building in the world. A skyscraper so big, it might have rewritten the city's identity and reshaped its skyline forever. Its name was Grollo Tower. But Grollo Tower was never built. It remains one of Australia's greatest what-if stories. Why? Because even the grandest dreams run into earth, concrete, politics, and money. This is the story of Grollo Tower, its promise, its battles, and what it would have meant if it had survived. Melbourne in the 1990s Docklands was mostly empty land, old wharves, abandoned industrial sites. Then came the vision from the Grollo family, owners of construction giant Grocon. Their idea? Let's build a tower so tall, so iconic, it'll make Melbourne known across the world. The earliest proposal was staggering 678 metres tall, higher than almost every skyscraper in the world at the time. Later, the design was revised down to about 560 metres with around 113 floors. To give you scale, when Grollo Tower was planned, Kuala Lumpur's Petronas Towers at 452 metres were among the world's tallest. Chicago's Sears Tower, now Willis Tower, was also a record holder. If built, Grollo Tower would have overtaken both. Melbourne's tallest buildings at the time would have looked like toys beside it. There was more than one design stage. First, the famous modernist architect Harry Seidler drew a concept. Later, the firm Denton Corker Marshall refined it into a sleek, futuristic glass and steel tower. Where would it go? The plan was for Batman Hill, at the edge of Docklands, then a landscape of derelict rail yards, silts and unused space. The idea was simple: use Grollo Tower as the spark, the magnet, to redevelop Docklands into a futuristic precinct. Inside, it wasn't just offices. The tower was to mix uses: office space, residential apartments, a hotel, a 500-seat auditorium and ballroom, retail spaces, and underground parking deep below ground. On top, public observation decks, restaurants, even an open-air deck in some versions. To build something this tall in Docklands wasn't easy. First, the foundation. Docklands soil is soft silt and clay, with the water table close to the surface. To anchor a 500-plus metre tower, you'd need piles sunk deep into bedrock. Some proposals called for 30-metre deep piles, multiple underground levels, and massive excavation. Then, the wind. Tall towers sway, and Melbourne's bay breezes can be fierce. Engineers would need stiff structural cores and damping systems to reduce oscillation. Safety for residents, workers, and visitors would demand cutting-edge solutions. Fire safety, evacuation plans, elevator systems, all had to be flawless. And then the city itself: roads, traffic, public transport. A building this large would bring thousands in and out every day. Shadows too became an issue. Such a tall building would cast long stretches of shade, especially in mornings and evenings, and people worried about daylight loss. Here came the tension. On one side, vision, pride, identity. Bruno Grollo said this tower would put Melbourne on the world map just as Sydney had its Opera House and Harbour Bridge. He believed it would attract tourists, investors, and reshape Docklands into a modern hub. On the other side, critics, politicians, planners, citizens argued it was simply too tall. What about Melbourne's heritage buildings? What about blocked views of Mount Dandenong or Port Phillip Bay? What about traffic and infrastructure? Many doubted the demand for so much office and residential space, and if half the tower sat empty, it would be a colossal waste. Money mattered too. Costs were massive, investors needed confidence, and while Melbourne was doing well, global economic storms loomed. In the mid-1990s, Melbourne buzzed with the idea of hosting the world's tallest skyscraper. Bruno Grollo unveiled futuristic designs, and for a moment it seemed the skyline's fate was sealed. But, behind the scenes, financial doubts and growing criticism piled up. The knockout blow came from beyond Melbourne. The 1997 Asian financial crisis drained investor confidence. Mega projects worldwide collapsed, and Melbourne was no exception. By 2001, planning approvals were frozen, public enthusiasm had cooled, and payments stalled. The Docklands Authority officially rejected Grollo Tower from the Batman Hill precinct tender. Just like that, the dream of the world's tallest tower was erased. It's hard not to wonder how Melbourne might look today if the tower had risen. Tourists could ride lifts to the sky, sipping coffee in observation decks higher than any in the Southern Hemisphere. Docklands might have transformed overnight into a futuristic hub instead of evolving gradually. Melbourne could have stood beside Dubai and Shanghai in the global skyline race. Yet such a giant came with risks. Shadows would stretch across neighbourhoods, infrastructure would strain under the surge of people, and half-empty floors might have loomed like a warning. The tower could have dazzled visitors, or stood as an oversized monument to ambition, outpacing reality. What actually happened later? When the project collapsed, Docklands grew along a safer path. Instead of one towering centrepiece, it filled with mid-rise offices, apartments and entertainment venues. The Grollo family moved on to other projects, most famously the Eureka Tower. Completed in 2006 at nearly 300 metres, it became Melbourne's tallest. Impressive, yes, but still only half of what Grollo Tower had promised. Meanwhile, the world moved on. Dubai raised the Burj Khalifa, Kuala Lumpur's Petronas Towers kept shining, Shanghai filled its skyline with megastructures. Melbourne instead leaned into its cultural and sporting identity, not a vertical one. Looking back, many still admire Grollo Tower for its ambition. Architects praise its sleek design. Historians call it one of Australia's most daring unbuilt projects, and some still wonder if it could have given Melbourne the global icon it craved. But practicality was always its Achilles heel. The finances were shaky, the engineering daunting, and the community divided. To critics, it was less a solution than a vanity project. Today, the memory of Grollo Tower is both inspiring and cautionary, a dream too bold for its time. Even unbuilt, it left its mark. It forced Melbourne to imagine bigger, to debate what kind of city it wanted to become. Docklands eventually grew, but the tower's ghost still lingers in conversations about ambition and identity. The lesson is simple: skyscrapers are never just concrete and glass. They are politics, money, and public will. Without all three, even the tallest dream will crumble before the first brick is laid. So, what about you? If you were in Melbourne back in the 1990s, would you have cheered for the Grollo Tower, proud to see your city pierce the clouds? Or would you have fought it, worried about shadows and traffic? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell for more untold stories. Because sometimes the most powerful landmarks aren't the ones that stand, but the ones that never made it past the drawing board.